guys, Ron here, and 7 years ago I released my first video, my top 10 favorite Pokemon. A lot has happened since then. Oras, Gen 7 and Gen 8 were released, I graduated high school and college, and not to mention 2020 had a whole decade's worth of trials and tribulations, and I've come out of it a completely different person. So to usher in a more hopeful year, I want to finally update my top 10 considering a majority of the entries are completely different. You could watch my first video to compare the list, but that's like telling you guys to go to a party without a face mask. I don't recommend it. God, am I dating this video with that reference. Just keep in mind, this isn't a list about the best Pokemon, it's literally the most subjective video I could make. Not to mention, it's the only top 10 I've made this year, and like the third I've made in the last 2 years, so I'm a bit rusty. So much so that I'm actually gonna start with the honorable mentions. I'll quickly go through my top 25 to 11, cause I love these guys too. Let's begin with number 25. Escavalier. I love its evolution method. Its extreme stats make it fun to use, in-game at least, and I just love the idea of a Bug Knight. Number 24. Torterra. To me, this Pokemon feels like the embodiment of Earth itself. I'm a huge fan of masculine grass types because it shows how versatile and beautiful nature is. You can have pretty Pokemon, or you can have forces of nature like this dude. I'm a big fan of gentle giants and ultimately think it's one of the most realistic looking Pokemon. It would translate really well to any franchise and even as a real life creature. A former top 10 member, but it's still in my heart. Number 23. Deoxys. I love the fact that its design and lore is based on science. As a kid, it was always fun knowing what DNA was simply from learning about Deoxys' name. Its film appearance was well executed, its forms are so cool, and I love how mysterious and menacing it is while having a bright and saturated color scheme. Contrast is a fun way to get me to love a Pokemon. Number 22. Feraligatr. I'm a huge fan of its feral shape and pose. It's what a lot of modern Pokemon designs and even starters are missing. I'm a fan of how it looks like an adult Totodile too. It's one of the few Pokemon I find nostalgic for personal reasons, and I always thought it was cool that it could learn Ice Fang. It used to be in the top 10, but times are tough. Number 21. Scyther. Another top 10 veteran. I obviously love its color, and I love Pokemon with knives or sharp elements. It's a prime example of a Gen 1 design, since it's vaguely dinosaur-like even though it's a praying mantis. It's just a fun relic of Pokemon's past design philosophies. Number 20. Absol. I love its Scythehorn and its lore is compelling. I love characters in media who are thought to be one thing but have a completely different personality. In this case, a Pokemon thought to bring disaster when it simply predicts them. The duality and contrast in its black and white design is appealing too. One of the most beautiful Pokemon. Number 19. Zebstrika. Like with Absol, I love how its black and white design conveys its nature. In this case, electricity has positive and negative charges. The stripes look like lightning bolts in a dark night. Its yellow and blue accents only amplify this color scheme, and to be frank, it's cooler than real-world zebras, and those are already kinda cool. It's such a powerful design, and I love when a long-anticipated animal receives a very successful Pokemon version. Number 18. Haxorus. I always get excited when I see its axe face. It looks important. One of the few Pokemon people mistake for a pseudo-legendary when it's just a normal Pokemon. But what I love most about it is how realistic it looks. It has the proportions of an actual animal. Usually a Pokemon's head or limbs would be too big to biologically work, but this guy could fit in the real world. And its armor is cool too. I enjoy armor on a Pokemon. Speaking of which, number 17. Golisopod. Its design is brutal. Nothing about its fierceness was toned down. It also has a really unique color scheme. No other Pokemon has such a muted green. And I love scary Pokemon that evolve from weaklings. Number 16. Volcarona. I love the fact that I can call this majestic moth beautiful. Its color scheme is gorgeous and its concept as a life-giving deity is fascinating. I can sense its strength and prominence by simply looking at it. The fact that it's incredibly rare and can be found deep in an optional location is what I wish Pokemon did more. I'm also a big fan of how it has 6 fiery wings like Seraphim. Number 15. Archeops. I think its color scheme is impressive. All these primary colors work well together. It's another Pokemon that looks feral and wild, which makes it so satisfying to have on my side. I get a kick from its surprisingly high stats, diverse move pool, and its ability is fun to work around in casual gameplay. One of the most memorable Pokemon I've ever had on my team, and I love the fact that it's the first bird Pokemon too. Number 14. Wooper. Wooper is still the Pokemon I personally believe to be the cutest. It was once in my top 10 because I love its voice in the anime and its bald, petable head is just so cute. It's the most innocent looking and wholesome Pokemon to me. Number 13. Vaporeon. Vaporeon is a precious Pokemon I wish could be in the top 10 just because of how quickly it rose up in my top 25 over the past few years. I think it's the most unique and well-designed evolution because it perfectly marries mammalian and aquatic design traits, and it's incredibly beautiful, majestic, cute, and powerful. I was delighted and surprised when I recently used it for the first time. It's the first Pokemon I have memories of since I encountered it before I even knew what Pokemon was, back as a toddler. Number 12. Vikavolt. During the early months of the Sun and Moon hype of 2016, the Pokemon that were being revealed for Alola weren't necessarily badass or strong looking, but Vikavolt was the first Pokemon that gave me hope that Gen 7 could have some outrageously cool designs, and it did. I love its color scheme and typing, and it was one of the only Pokemon in this top 25 that immediately made this list once I first laid eyes on it. And number 11? Metagross. Metagross is my favorite pseudo-legendary Pokemon. When I first saw it as a kid, I was in awe. I associated Power and Pokemon Championship with this Pokemon. After all, Pokemon Ruby was the first game I ever played. Something about that cross placed right in the middle, which breaks and divides its face, is so epic. I love how it has the intellect and potential to wipe out the human race, yet it's our ally. The idea of training one has always been a fantasy of mine because it meant that I was chosen by this godlike being to be its friend and master. Now before moving on to my top 10, I gotta say I really did want to include the following 10 Pokemon from Galar. These are my top 10 favorite Generation 8 Pokemon, but since I only had a year to bond with and judge them, I just don't feel right to place any of them on this list and kick out Pokemon like Metagross or Vikavolt that I've loved for many years now, especially if my opinion of them could easily change for better or worse within the next year. The following top 10 though is pretty concrete. Number 10. Pangoro. I'm a huge fan of Pokemon who successfully pull off their unique personality. Pangoro is this tough and rowdy delinquent, and it shows, from its bamboo toothpick to its awesome fur cape that flows in battle. It's a perfect design trait that allows for dynamic animation and poses. In-game, it always looks like it's ready to fight, unlike a lot of Pokemon that just stand there. I love its color scheme too. Gray, black, and white with a hint of green is so delicious looking. But what I love most about this dude is that it's actually a pretty honorable Pokemon who does not put up with any bullying. Like I said before, I dig a character that subverts expectations, especially intimidating brutes that actually have good morals. This is how you make a Pokemon with a set personality and character, and still have it feel like a believable species of animal. Just know that I'm a very avid toothpick user, and this is not the only toothpick using Pokemon on this list, so I guess I just tend to like Pokemon I relate to in some aspect. Number 9. Luxray. Luxray is a Pokemon I became obsessed with as soon as I first saw it on Cerebi before Diamond and Pearl even came out in North America. I love how the contrast between the black and bright colors felt like nothing I've seen in a Pokemon from the first 3 generations. It's so neon and fresh. It really felt like a next generation Pokemon back in the day. It's this shady Pokemon that is actually an ally for good and represents light despite its dark type appearance. It's another intimidating Pokemon that seems unapproachable but is actually a cool cat. This duality of light and dark in both its design and personality is interesting. I love its Link's origins and how it ties into its X-ray vision, which as far as I can remember only Luxray has. But what was even more impressive was the fact that you can obtain this family right in the beginning. One of my favorite Pokemon is so accessible. It always makes me want to start a Sinnoh journey again. Number 8. Crobat. Aside from the fact that I'm a huge fan of the purple and turquoise color scheme, as well as the sleek design and menacing face, I genuinely love the idea of forming a bond with a Pokemon that is thought to be a nuisance, like Zubat, and evolving it through friendship into a beast of a mon. It's the Pokemon I've used the most across multiple playthroughs, and it's always a fast and reliable option. I'm never disappointed with my Crobat, and I cherish the concept of falling in love with a Pokemon who looks so stoic and unemotional. I know this Pokemon loves me even though it doesn't explicitly show it. That's true love. Number 7. Samurott. Ever since I first saw this guy, I thought everything about it was cool. Shell sword and helmet, whisker facial hair, and a dark navy coat. It's a samurai with armor and weapons that relate to its water typing. Literally everything about it makes sense to me. I actually grew to love it even more after I learned that otters actually store rocks and shells in their body pockets. This is such a neat concept, and I will defend this starter's honor for the rest of my life. Number 6. Malamar. Malamar is another instance of a Pokemon that I love because it pulls off its personality so well. They designed this evil vampire squid, gave it one of the most sinister and fun abilities to use, which ties back to its perverse upside down design, and even made its evolution method interesting and unique to its theme. They just went all out with this concept and topped it off with this evil grin. I get if you're uncomfortable with it, but I personally just find it impressive how well thought out every single aspect of this Pokemon is. You constantly fall in love with different aspects of it, almost like you're seeing this guy from a different perspective every time. Not to mention, Game Freak took heavy inspiration from Cuttlefish and geniusly translated their color-changing abilities into a nefarious Pokemon who hypnotizes its prey with its flashing lights. This Pokemon is one of the least lazy Pokemon designs and concepts. Number 5. Decidueye. It's the newest addition to the top 10. Imagine discovering another grass-type starter that you think is almost as cool as the Pokemon you like the most. Not to mention, the fact that Decidueye's green is my favorite shade of green on any Pokemon, but that has nothing to do with why I love it. Okay, maybe a little bit, but honestly, it's simply exactly what I wanted from a grass partner Pokemon. A cute and likable early stage that turns into an honorable, nimble, and skilled animal. We all wanted Rowlet to evolve into a shady, hooded archer, and we literally got that. I have never been less disappointed with a Pokemon. Keep in mind, I don't battle competitively, so I don't care about its stats at all. It looks intelligent without being too humanoid. It's a straight up archer owl. Just saying the concept out loud is enough to like Decidueye. Number 4. Nidoking. Here we have our first Pokemon that was part of my original top 10. It's even a few entries higher. I always thought Nidoking had the best design out of any Pokemon. I love how incredibly masculine it is, how vague its inspirations and design are, and sure, it's similar to Baragon and all the other Horn Gen 1 Pokemon, but to me, it's also a succinct amalgamation of so many different animals and monsters. It has my favorite color scheme on a Pokemon and is the kind of Pokemon I wish we had more of in modern Pokemon designs. An ambiguous brute that perfectly fits into a monster battling game. It's the embodiment of power without being too legendary. That's what the next entry is for. Number 3. Rayquaza. To me, this is the coolest legendary Pokemon in existence. In my mind, it's kind of the only Pokemon here that I'd say is objectively amazing. I'm just going to call out anybody who hates Rayquaza. I'm just gonna say it. You're a little weird. But so is Rayquaza. The fact that it protects Earth from the ozone layer and has the power to end catastrophic battles between two deities is legendary. This was the Pokemon God before Arceus existed, and in Generation 6, a year after I made my first video, this guy ascended and became our God again. And our God is green. I love its perpetual smile, almost as if nothing can defeat it. I love its patterns, I love its black crevices, I love literally everything about this Pokemon. Just the idea that this franchise can produce such a fictional creature has given me hope that Pokemon can make me happy forever. Number 2. Arcanine. The idea of such a loyal and powerful beast on my side of any battle is thrilling. I love how this good boy is so handsome and hefty. It also has very realistic proportions and details. Probably the Pokemon design that I think simply works the most. I want Arcanine to be real. Imagine petting that soft fur. Game Freak took the natural bond humans have with dogs and ramped it up to the utmost extreme. It's the number 1 companion, or in this case, number 2. And number 1 is Sceptile. You all know by now, but why? Of course, the fact that it was my first Pokemon ever is a factor, but why did I pick this line, other than the fact that they're green? Well, I love how their personality is super consistent throughout their evolution. Trico stays cool and calm as it grows. Each iteration, to me, is just better than the last, all culminating in this suave, chill, dutiful, good-hearted lizard. Its leaf blades are iconic to me. They are the weapons of a proficient hero. This guy plants seeds and saves forests simply because he's a good dude. He's not looking for praise. It all concludes with his sophisticated face. Sceptile knows that he's the bomb. He's always my speedy ace, the quickest to my heart, and it just amazes me how I can have such a personal, lifelong bond with something that isn't tangible. I hope I brought us closer by sharing my most personal opinions. May the following year be a sigh of relief and the beginning of a better era. If you want to give me a present, just leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you haven't. Consider becoming a patron or clicking the join button to get cool rewards like seeing my videos days early, a huge discount on the t-shirts I made for you guys, and more. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll see you guys next year.